good morning, good afternoon, good evening. You're listening to the Thai Expat Daily Show. I'm your host Kieran Mack and thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to like this video if you're watching us on YouTube and please do subscribe. We're also available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music and a host of other podcast players. Now that that's all done, let's jump into today's show. And we'll start off with the first story of the day. The CCSA is eyeing border reopenings. The Centre for Covid-19 Situation Administration, forward command dealing with COVID-19 in the Deep South, will this week consider whether to reopen the Thai-Malaysian border as proposed by MPs from the southern region. Deputy Government Spokeswoman Ratchada Darindek said on Sunday the CCSA previously agreed in principle with the proposal and instructed its forward command to study the details. However, after Malaysia detected its first case of Omicron, coronavirus variant, in a foreign student who was quarantined after arrival from South Africa, the forward command is now monitoring the situation in the neighbouring country closely, she said. The forward command will discuss the border reopening proposal and present the matter to the CCSA for consideration at a meeting expected next Monday, Ms. Ratchada said. The forward command is formally known as the Centre for the Integration of the Resolution of COVID-19 in the southern border provinces. Ms. Ratchada said the government intended to reopen the Thai-Malaysian border and the CCSA earlier met on November 26 to assess the COVID-19 situation in 5 southern provinces of Songkhla, Satun, Narathiwat, Yala and Pattani, with plans to reopen border checkpoints on December 16th. Border checkpoints that were initially planned for reopening include the Sadao border checkpoint in Songkhla, Sungai Kalek checkpoint in Narathiwat, Bitong checkpoint in Yala, and Wang Prakan checkpoint in Satun, she said. However, the CCSA will reach a conclusion on the matter at the meeting next Monday, she said, adding the Foreign Ministry has informed Malaysian authorities of the move. The reopening of the borders is expected to revive local tourism and boost economic growth in the southern region, she added. Ms. Ratchada also said that a Public Health Ministry Inspector General in charge of Songkhla Satun, Trang Patalong Patani Yala and Narathiwat have confirmed that the Omicron strain has not been detected in the southern border areas. The public has been urged not to panic, she said. Police Major General Surin Palar, a Democratic Party MP for Songkhla, is among MPs who have called for the Thai-Malaysian border to be reopened. He said the border has been closed for almost 2 years now as a result of the COVID-19, affecting Thai workers who have been stranded in Malaysia. This has led to illegal entry problems and the further spread of COVID-19. Reopening the border will help ease the problem and bring back tourists from Malaysia and resuscitate the local economy at the same time. Tourism Authority of Thailand Governor Yuttasak Supasorn said that there is no sign of tourist arrivals to Thailand slowing down despite the emergence of the Omicron variant. There has been no reports of foreign tourists cancelling their trips to Thailand so far, he said. The new variant has not affected travel sentiment, Mr. Yuttasak said. The TAT has set a target of attracting 600,000 foreign tourists during the last 2 months of the year, he noted. So that's just a little bit of information on the Thai-Malaysian border. The Sadao border checkpoint would be very popular with people crossing over to Malaysia to do border runs, and previous to the pandemic that was a very, very busy area. Hopefully, if that does reopen, it will certainly allow people to get their visa situation sorted by entering Malaysia and coming back over. So we'll keep an eye on it. Hopefully December 16th, maybe something will change and something positive will happen there. And moving along, PM2.5 pollution returns to Bangkok. The Bangkok Metropolitan Administration, or BMA, is warning of an increase in PM2.5 dust between December 5th and 7th, especially in Khlong Sam Wa, Mini Buri, Nong Khaem, Tawee Wattana, Bang Khae, Bang Khun Thian and Bang Bon districts. The Bangkok governor, Aswin Kwan Muang, explained on his Facebook page that throughout December and January, the PM2.5 dust levels are usually higher than the average. This week, the wind speed will decrease to only 11 to 12 km per hour and the temperature will drop by 1 to 3 degrees Celsius, which results in an increase in the amount of dust in the atmosphere. The BMA and related authorities have made plans to deal with pollution and are asking the public to refrain from activities that cause air pollution, such as vehicle use and refraining from lighting fires in open spaces. The public has also been advised to follow updates on the current PM2.5 situation and on how to protect themselves from it. The updates can be found at www.bangkokairquality.com or through the Air Bangkok app. And moving along, Thailand removed from Germany's list of COVID-19 high-risk countries. Germany has removed Thailand from its list of COVID-19 high-risk countries, effective from Sunday, under which people arriving from Thailand can enter Germany without the need for quarantine if they are fully inoculated with either Pfizer, Moderna, AstraZeneca or Johnson & Johnson vaccines, according to the webpage of the Royal Thai Embassy in Berlin. Despite the exemption from mandatory quarantine, the embassy said that Thai travellers to Germany must still carry a negative COVID-19 RT-PCR test result produced within the 72 hours prior to arrival, or 48 hours in the case of a negative antigen test result. Those who had previously been infected with COVID-19 are required to provide proof of a positive RT-PCR test result, which is at least 28 days old, but not more than 6 months, or proof that they have been fully inoculated with either of the 4 vaccines not less than 14 days prior to arrival. The travellers must also state the reason for their urgent need to travel to Germany clearly, except for Thais who also hold German citizenship, have a residence or family in Germany or in any of the European Union countries, or who have been fully inoculated with any of the 4 vaccines at least 14 days prior to arrival. Those who have fully recovered from COVID-19 and have received at least 1 dose of any of the 4 vaccines do not need to specify the reason for their urgent need to travel. And moving along to our featured story today, Thailand's first Omicron case in hospital for observation, no symptoms yet. The asymptomatic Thai-American businessman who was confirmed as Thailand's first case of a COVID-19 Omicron variant infection on his arrival from Spain, is currently under observation in hospital, said Dr. Opart, Director General of the Disease Control Department, today. He said that the 35-year-old man has lived in Spain for about a year and left for Dubai on November 29th, where he stopped over for 9 hours before flying to Thailand the following day. During the stopover in Dubai, he wore a face mask all the time and did not talk with anyone. After arrival at Bangkok Suvarnabhumi Airport at about midnight, he was driven to a hospital where he was given a swab test, and he then proceeded to his hotel under the Test and Go program. Dr. Opart said the test result on December 1st showed a COVID-19 infection, and samples were sent to the Medical Science Department for additional tests, which were positive for the Omicron variant when the results were returned 2 days later. He said that the Thai American has not been infected by COVID-19 before and has not been in close contact with any other passengers. To date, no other Omicron infections have been identified in Thailand, said Dr. Opart. Citing data from the World Health Organization, he said the Omicron variant has already spread to 46 countries, including 15 countries with locally acquired cases and 31 countries with cases among foreign arrivals. There are no reports of fatalities yet, he added. Now, further to that, the Prime Minister is urging the public not to panic over the first case of the Omicron variant. Prime Minister Prayut Chan-o-cha is asking the Thai public not to panic over the discovery of Thailand's first confirmed case of the COVID-19 Omicron variant, but to remain on their guard as he urged the unvaccinated to get their shots quickly, said the government spokesman Thanakorn Wambunganchana today. He said the Prime Minister and health officials will closely monitor Omicron variant in the country, adding, however, that the government will not yet consider increased restrictions. He also said that the Prime Minister has confidence in Thailand's monitoring and screening systems, citing the quick and early detection of the first case in a 33-year-old Thai-American businessman who arrived in Thailand from Spain via Dubai, as we said earlier. Meanwhile, the Interior Permanent Secretary has instructed the government of Songkhla, Yala, Patani, Naray Tuat and Satun to intensify border checks to prevent illegal immigrants from sneaking into the country from Malaysia, where the Omicron variant is reportedly spreading. The government were told to get tough on human trafficking gangs and those who provide shelter to illegal migrants, said Thanakorn, adding that they have also been instructed to intensify publicity campaigns to urge many unvaccinated people in the province to get inoculated. Now, to put this into perspective, we should first look at what we know about Omicron, because the world seems to have gone crazy over this, with border closures, quarantine on arrivals, increased PCR testing, and really just an overreaction to something that has no scientific basis for this overreaction. How easily does Omicron spread? Now, according to the CDC in America, the Omicron variant likely will spread more easily than the original SARS-CoV-2 virus, and how easily Omicron spreads compared to Delta remains unknown. CDC expects that anyone with Omicron infections can spread the virus to others, even if they are vaccinated or don't have symptoms. Well, this has been the case all along with COVID among vaccinated or unvaccinated. So what's changed? Will Omicron cause more severe illness? More data is needed to know if Omicron infections, and especially reinfections and breakthrough infections in people who are fully vaccinated, cause more severe illness or death than infection with other variants. Again, unknown. So a lot of reaction without any facts behind all this reaction. Will vaccines work against Omicron? Current vaccines are expected to protect against severe illness, hospitalization, and deaths due to infection with the Omicron variant. However, breakthrough infections in people who are fully vaccinated are likely to occur, which are happening now still, regardless with Delta. With other variants like Delta, vaccines have remained effective at preventing severe illness, hospitalization, and death. The recent emergence of Omicron further emphasizes the importance of vaccination and boosters. Will treatments work against Omicron? Scientists are working to determine how well existing treatments for COVID-19 will work. Based on the changed genetic makeup of Omicron, some treatments are likely to remain effective, while others may be less effective. So what we know is that it may not be as bad as everybody's talking about, and that I think governments need to take a step back here. We can see how quickly Delta spread and became the dominant variant throughout the world, and Omicron maybe will be the next one. But this is going to continue for quite a while. But there's no need to panic, and there's no need to have these severe travel restrictions around the world. Well, this is my opinion. And I think most people that I'm talking with, that I see comment and share their information, seem to think the same thing. It's been a huge overreaction by countries with very little evidence for this overreaction. I have to say the Thai government have been rather less reactive to it and are taking it in their stride. And I think what they're doing is they're looking around the world to see what's happening rather than suddenly just stopping international travel again. Of course, stopping international travel again would just be the death of Thailand at this moment in time, and probably would be very, very bad in the future, because people would be considering, how do we trust this government with keeping the country open and then closing it as soon as a couple of variants come out? Because, at the end of the day, they have spoken about having to live with COVID, which is what we're going to have to do if we wish to survive in the future and have lives and have meaningful lives. So hopefully this first case will be what it is, a first case. Hopefully the Thai government does not overreact to the situation and do what the likes of America and other countries in the European Union are doing. Hopefully we will see common sense used along with science as well, because right now there is no science to what a lot of these countries are doing. It's just a reaction to something they don't know about. The World Health Organization themselves say there's no need for these travel restrictions right now. We don't know enough. Stop the overreaction. And that's where I am with it too, because when overreactions happen like that, people get fearful, economies start to slow down, and we just go back into where we were nearly 2 years ago again. And we certainly don't want to be in that place again. That's my opinion of it. Now, I'd love to know what you guys think about it. Do you think this Omicron variant is as dangerous as what governments are nearly trying to make out? Do you think it's an overreaction? I would love to know your comments down below in my comment section. And moving along, foreign business rules to ease. A rule requiring foreign nationals to require permission before conducting half a dozen types of businesses could soon be lifted, says a source at the Commerce Ministry. The Department of Business Development, DOBD, has asked Commerce Ministry Durian Lakasawansit to remove the requirement, which would help boost foreign investment in the kingdom. The requirement is enforced under a 1999 law governing business operations by foreign nationals. Permission is needed from a committee chaired by the Commerce Permanent Secretary. 6 businesses are covered by the rule, and its removal would provide convenience for foreign nationals seeking to conduct business in the country, the source said. If the minister approves the DOBD request to drop the requirement, the issue will be forwarded to the Cabinet. After that, a regulation will be released to lift the requirement. The source said the process is expected to be completed next year. Businesses that would benefit from the change in the system are those where foreign nationals often seek to renew permission, including telecommunications related companies that do not operate their own telecom service network. The requirement to secure permission could be dropped for other businesses, such as those involving foreigners renting a telecom network to cater to fellow nationals. Other businesses sought for such a waiver pertain to financial management under the Currency Exchange Control Law and companies specializing in developing software, which are juristic persons registered in Thailand. And finally, the Phuket news. Fake news warning denies Phuket governor is illegal migrant smuggler. The Anti-Fake News Centre, operated by the Ministry of Digital Economy and Society, has issued yet another fake news warning denying claims online that the Phuket governor is smuggling illegal Muslim immigrants into Phuket and has allocated 56 million baht to building a mosque on the island. Phuket marks 86 new COVID cases, no new deaths. The latest Phuket Provincial Public Health Office Daily COVID Situation Report has marked 86 new local infections confirmed across the island, bringing the total number of people recognised as infected with COVID-19 in Phuket since April 3rd to 18,228. Killer strikes again as motorbike taxi driver slain at Phuket bus station. A killer out on bail for shooting dead 2 rival motorbike taxi drivers at Phuket Bus Terminal 2, north of Phuket town in January, has struck again, shooting dead another motorbike taxi driver at the interprovincial bus terminal late last night. And finally, Phuket police claim more than 3,000 venue raids conducted, 27 arrests. The Phuket Provincial Police has released a report claiming that officers have carried out more than 3,000 venue inspections since November 1, resulting in 32 arrests for breaking the provincial order regulating the sale of alcohol and COVID-19 regulations prohibiting staff from having close contact with customers. But ultimately, with this story or anything else that stood out to you today, I'd love to know your thoughts in the comments down below. Because yes, this is a news show, but it's also a conversation. Now keep that conversation going. Make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel, share the video, and do all the good stuff that does help that YouTube algorithm. But ultimately, my name is Kieran Mack. You've been listening to the Thai Expat Daily Show, and we will see you next time.